Now, this is the big news of the stream. Let's start with a soft intro. Actually, I know I have a ham for this. Oh, yeah, now we're talking. That's the good stuff right there. That's the Baldo ham. So, let's start the Baldo segment with Aaron Imholt just taking a little jab at Rekieta, and then we'll move on.
Oh, is that true? JH says Aaron Chrissy Mayer was blaming you for Nick Rekieta's downfall. Me? See, I would have said it was the other way around. Like if I hadn't gotten out of that cyclone of shit, that could have brought me all the way down. Almost did. I would say it's the other way around. He was already a mess when I met him. I mean, high on Molly the night of the show. He licked my face the first night we met. We're at Benton Station. Licks my face. Like, come on. We're not licking faces. Stop. He did it like 3-4 times. He was a face licker. Don't be a face licker. Kiki cried.
That's funny. This happened on stream even. I'm pretty sure Rekieta licked his face in the hot tub stream. Does anybody else remember that? Is that like a figment of my imagination? Is that like a rogue memory that I've conjured? I'm pretty sure that happened in the stream. So I remember that they were being really gay with each other in the jacuzzi, and you could tell that the women were both really annoyed by this, because it was supposed to be like a hot swinging thing, like where they swapped the wives or whatever. And then the guys are like licking each other, and they're both like visibly disgusted by this. Soft update on remember that Rekieta has ongoing family issues, criminal issues, and civil issues. And in the civil case, where he's being sued by Steve Quest, aka Montegraph, for defamation per se, where he accused him of being has always liked sucking little boy dicks, is I believe the exact statement he used. His civil court judge was Judge Pussy Licker, also known as Jennifer Fisher. She was asked to recuse in the criminal case, and by Minnesota state law, you get one free do-over with your criminal court judge. So when they asked her to recuse, she did. She didn't challenge it because he statutorily has one free judge re-roll basically per case. And he believed that it would be a bad idea to let her be the presiding judge. Well, in the civil case, similarly, she has recused, and I believe that this was done sua sponte. She just simply decided that she would like to recuse from this case. And now, Honorable Stephen J. Winsel is the judge in the civil case. And if that name sounds familiar, it's because that's the judge in the criminal case. So I believe that may also be the judge in the family case, but don't quote me on that. So now this guy is officially the state-appointed Baldo handler in all matters, legal, criminal, or civil. Honorable Winsel is at the helm, representing Minnesota in these matters. So I don't know what the outcome of that will be. I think there's some reason to speculate that this guy is not on Rekieta's side. Personally, probably thinks that Rekieta's a dickhead. And the reason why I can say that is because of this filing. Let me think about how I want to address this real quick. Give me a second to gather my thoughts. So when Rekieta was arrested, the first thing that happens in a Minnesota trial, as far as I'm aware, is that they schedule something called an omnibus hearing. Now, you have, between the point of being indicted and the trial in criminal cases, each state and the federal jurisdictions have their own procedures. And there is a timely way to file certain motions, certain challenges, certain requests before the trial begins. Minnesota has a really big hearing, pretrial hearing, called the omnibus hearing. And unlike in a lot of states, Minnesota gets a lot of stuff done in this one hearing, which is why it's called the omnibus, because it's everything. Basically, everything that you want to file before the trial happens at the omnibus hearing. Everything. If you want to file something, it must be done, it must be heard at the omnibus hearing. That's why we sent a bunch of people to this hearing, because it's a big deal. And a lot of things that would be hashed out and set the pacing of the case would happen at the omnibus hearing. So the Kiwi SEAL Team 6 or whatever arrives at the court, gets hassled by Ethan Ralph, waves goodbye to him, so on and so forth. That all happens, and it kind of felt underwhelming. And I was a little bit irritated because I assumed that there would be like a continuance and there would be a second omnibus hearing. Because all that happened at the omnibus hearing is that Rekieta asked for a Franks hearing. And a Franks hearing is named after a Supreme Court precedent where it said that if a police officer lies materially to a judge and gets a warrant, and that warrant would not have been granted if that police officer did not lie, then anything that the warrant obtained would be fruit of the poison tree and would be inadmissible in court. So that means the body cam footage, that means the cocaine that they found, that means that the weapons that they found, that means that anything that they found as a result of that warrant would be thrown out, and that's basically as good as dismissing the case, right? So Rekieta said that the cop had lied because he watched the stream of Rekieta fucked up on coke and alcohol on the big on the Anime Sucks Cope and Sneed stream. The judge, Officer Pomplin, said that had happened. And Rekieta asked for a Franks hearing, and his attorney wrote, or some people think that he's writing them, but he wrote and said that Pomplin had watched a stream that was archived on fucking Cognificent, the retard, Jobless Johnny, on his internet backyard or whatever, I can't remember what it's called, on his archive channel. And therefore, he lied materially under oath to the judge, and the warrant would not have been granted if he had said that he had watched an archive. And in part because they said that the stream was edited and watermarked. And the reason why he said that is because Cog on YouTube had added a watermark to the channel, and that's a part of the player. That's not a part of the video. So the way that this works is that he went to the omnibus hearing, he asked for the Franks and nothing else. Kiwi Team 6 walked away. Felt a little bit underwhelming. Then Rekieta files his first motion in support of the Franks hearing, which outlines all the things I just talked about. The state comes back with a reply, says you're full of shit, you're wrong. It's very clear from the affidavit that he's actually being very truthful, very upfront that he watched an archive. The words have a clear meaning because they appear multiple times. And Hardin even told me that when he was a prosecuting attorney, the quality of Virginia warrant request was far below this. So Pomplin was very deliberate and well-spoken in his request for the search warrant, and it served him well in the trial because Rekieta's reply was rejected, and the judge basically said, you're not getting a Franks hearing, which is on its face a kind of a blow, but it was kind of a long shot to begin with. I mean, it's basically a get-out-of-jail-free card. If he could get the search warrant thrown out over this technicality, then he gets all the evidence thrown out as well, and then he's a free man, and there's no issue. Except, his gambit actually backfired horrifically, and I say that because of this. Preload all these images, actually. Could have done this during the talking bit, but then I fucked it up. Okay, it's actually... Oh, I'm gonna go crazy. Here it is. So this is the order. You ready? The defendant's motion to schedule an evidentiary hearing pursuant to Frank's challenge is denied. So he didn't even get to have the hearing that they were going to schedule. The judge says, there's no fucking way I'm going to believe this. There's nothing you can show me to change my mind. It's over. You're denied. Then, the defendant's motion to suppress the firearms and ammunition is denied because he raised some kind of challenge about the oh God, what is it? The plain view. I talked about this earlier in the stream. He said that was not acceptable under the plain view exception to the scope of the search warrant. Judge says that's bullshit. It's in the fucking house. It's in plain view. What more do you want? Or it was in the gun safe or whatever. And then 3. And this is the banger, chat. All other omnibus issues not argued with particularity or otherwise specifically identified to the court as a contested issue at the omnibus hearing, whether included in the written notice or not, are denied, having been waived by the defendant. Now, this was not actually a response to anything in his his Frank's hearing motions, this is like a little thing that he's added himself, saying like, we're not having another omnibus. And everybody thought. Bromka from North Dakota and Minnesota, that was one of the Kiwis at the courthouse. Sean thought this. Fucking Hardin thought this. Everybody expected that there would be Omnibus and 2 set out where Rekieta could file a bunch of other bullshit to prolong the case. The judge has said no. No omnibus hearing. Which means that because if you remember, Rekieta filed all this shit literally like the midnight before the actual omnibus was scheduled. So he hired counsel last second, filed a bunch of shit last second, got the omnibus hearing, raised one thing and one thing only, the Franks hearing, and then the judge says, like, look, you put this off to the last second to try this long shot. You don't get to go a second bite at it. You don't get to do this again. So now he's fucked. Because anything else that he wanted to raise, and he mentions in the Franks hearing motions that he wanted to raise a couple other things in passing. I think the judge even says you made a vague reference to something, but you didn't specifically, bring it up, or you expect to bring it up later. That's not happening. That's what he's saying here. And that means that now there's going to be a trial. They have a scheduling conference. That's the next thing that's set up. And they're going to decide the dates of different things. And that's mostly technical, where they like say, well, I'm busy that week, because attorneys have multiple clients. So Rekieta's options are now one of 3 things. He can either appeal this, and I am almost guaranteed in saying that he will appeal this, because he doesn't have a choice. If he's hoping to get this dismissed pre-trial, he must. He has no choice. He not having an omnibus hearing where he raised things that actually succeed is a big detriment to him, because he can't squash any evidence or anything. He anything that was supposed to happen before the trial has been denied preemptively because he didn't raise them. So he's kind of fucked. He kind of has to ask the appellate court to give him a second chance. He's like, well, wait a second. I didn't know that would be denied. I wouldn't have just asked for the Franks hearing then. He has to. He has no choice. So, and that's expensive, by the way. Even with Hardin, appeals and Supreme Court stuff, that's expensive because there's a lot to it, and then you have to pay fees because the fees go up as you get higher into the ranks, and you have to bind things a certain way, and you have to pay printing companies, and those are like their fees they're monopolies, so they can charge whatever the fuck they want. That shit's expensive, so that's probably going to be at least $10,000 for him to appeal this one motion to the state appellate court. That's a big deal. So he's going to appeal that. He's got his house hasn't his Zillow listing for the second house hasn't sold yet, so he doesn't have that money. He might reduce the price. If any of you are looking for a house in Spicer, Minnesota, keep a lookout on that listing, because after the shit, when he files his appeal, I have a feeling that house is going to go down by $20,000 on the Zillow listing. Just keep in mind you're going to be living next to Rekieta. So then, aside from the appeal, he either is going to have to take a plea or he's going to have to go to trial. And this is the issue that they have. If he takes a plea, he's guilty. And if he's guilty, then he no longer has a presumption of innocence. And if he no longer has a presumption of innocence, then the government has no reason to release particularities of public record that may meaningfully harm the reputation of a presumed innocent person. Certain records that I have interest in, chat, if he were to plea out. So he may not plea out specifically because he would not want those specific records to become matters of public record. If he goes to trial, then of course he doesn't get a plea deal, which is generally beneficial. I think that it usually goes that it's more expensive and you get a harsher sentence if you fight it out to the bitter fucking end. So he may not get that. But if he goes to trial, then certain matters of public record will enter evidence and then be released as evidence to the public, as all evidence is, usually, including things that I have specific interest in, chat. So, that's where we're at with that. And I really, I mean, Rekieta's position is so fucked, and he's so full of pride. Like a normal person, of course, would simply take the plea. Because I have a feeling that he's a first time offender. He's got kids. He needs the support. It's a no brainer. To what end does the government have in putting an innocent, or, not innocent, but like a normal family man in jail for one fuck up? A non violent offense, even. None. It costs them money, and you don't pay taxes when you're in jail because you don't make any money. And then you have a bunch of kids that are more reliant on the public systems because they don't have a dad that's providing for them. So it doesn't make sense for them to be like, hey, let's put you in jail forever. That doesn't make any sense. They just want you to stop costing them money and being a nuisance. That's it. So, yeah, obviously the plea deal would make the most sense. But then if he's guilty, then that opens up Pandora's box, So I don't know. He's kind of fucked. And I don't feel bad for him because everybody told him that he's fucked. And what's really weird is that he's still so arrogant. He hasn't. It's so. I remember. Do you guys remember the special Rekieta stream that I did after he got arrested? I think I had like 2 special Rekieta streams in a row where I did like a full front to back commentary on his Anime Sucks Cope and Sneed chat. Or stream. And then I did like another stream that was immediately after that was mostly just about him being arrested and his arraignment in jail. And I remember I made a prediction. I don't know if it was a prediction. I hesitate to call it that. But I was thinking aloud about what I expected him to do once he got out of jail. I expected that he would sit the 3-day weekend in jail, but he got out with bond. And then with recognizance bond, then he paid the money so he could not do piss tests. And then, funnily enough, and he rewrites history. He paid that money so he wouldn't have to piss test. But then the family court made him do tests anyways without any way out of it as part of the custody stuff. So he has to do the piss test anyways. So he paid all that money for nothing. And he tries to make that out like it was just like, oh, I had no idea that was going to happen. And then when they said you got to go pee-pees in the cup, I was like, oh, of course, I'll do anything to get my children back. He paid so much fucking money to the point where he had to put a mortgage out on his house to get the $100,000 for him and his wife. And then they pee tested him anyways. And I know that's what happened. He can cope and sneeze that it was something else. So I know he paid not to do the test, and then they made him do the test anyways. But I was thinking, as I said, that I was imagining what his first actions would be after he got out. He would get out, and then he would have to stream again. That's his job. So what's he going to do? And I imagined in my head that what he would do is he would come out, and then he would do a coming to Jesus moment, I suppose is what you would say, as PPP would say. He likes to use that phrase. And he would say, like, I know I've been fucked up. I know I've let people down. I'm going to work with the state. I'm going to get my kids back. I thought there was a really good chance because I didn't see how there could be any other way to address it. You have to stream to make your money. You have to be popular. You have to have people's respect. People have to want to give you money and respect you in order for you to make your job doing this avenue. So I saw no possible way for him to come back and not do that, and not do the I've learned a lot type of thing. And I was completely blown away. I remember even saying on the stream though that he may not do that because he's like such an arrogant buffoon. And then, like, his first stream back, he comes back and starts accusing the government of all this fucking conspiracy and naming specific workers out, saying that they hated him and they had past relations and they had prejudice against him and they lied on their oath. Like, all this crazy fucking shit. Like, immediately when his first day back, I'm thinking, holy fuck. I can't even believe it. Can't even believe it. That's the avenue you want to go. Like, it's just... I don't even know. I guess his kid testing positive for cocaine is like the worst thing, and people would never forgive him for that. But it's like I think there was definitely an opportunity after the arrest for him to try and make amends and be good Christian dad again. And for whatever fucking reason, I'm sorry, there's no fucking way that April M. Hall is that good at anything that it's worth it. she either has like a mountain of dirt on this guy that would make your fucking skin crawl, or he's just like actually brain damaged. The holes have like gone from end to end. You could take one of those little fuzzy like metal bendy straw things, pipe cleaner. You could take a pipe cleaner and weasel that through his brain without ever hitting any gray matter because there's so many fucking holes in it. That's the only thing I can come up with at this point. That's the Rekieta thing. Everything he's been working on the past couple weeks since the omnibus hearing, since the last time I talked about him. I think it's been 3 weeks even, because I know that he came back from his 3-week hiatus to stream recently. So I want to say it's probably been 3 weeks since the omnibus, since I talked about the Kiwis going to the courthouse. And in that time, his big project, the Franks hearing, is completely and totally eviscerated. And not only was that eviscerated, it also appears that he's really shot himself in the foot, and he missed a lot of more realistic, opportunistic ways to mitigate damage and posture the case in his favor by only raising the Franks hearing at the omnibus, expecting that he would just get a second omnibus hearing because he's Nick Rekieta and he's special. There you go. That's the Rekieta update. Baldo Ham, you are dismissed to slink back away to your cracked in with your 2 hamster wives. Baldo Peggins for 5 says, can we get a Kiwi Farms law couch graphic for you when you discuss lawsuits and other related legal stuff? Oh, Rekieta said something about how when the Franks hearing is over, the Kiwi Farms people on the couch will not look so smart or whatever the fuck. I guess a news ham, like an attorney ham, and like a nice big comfy couch would suffice for that. I have so many fucking hamsters, bro. I have like an entire pet store of hamsters on my folder now. Stalker Child Enjoy Prison for 5 says, YouTube link, this is what Rekieta heard when he opened up the farms today. Okay, I do not show videos for less, but if it's like a 5-second clip, I'll play the audio.
Denied.
Yeah, probably. Probably heard that from his attorney. Stalker Child Enjoy Prison for 2 says, guess that fart joke ain't so funny, is it now, Nick? The Ralph curse strikes again. Dude, if only he hadn't made fun of Ralph's fart, he would be in such a better place right now. He Deedly, for one, says, I think it's hilarious that you talk about law more than Baldo these days, well, comprehensively at least. I try my best. I'm not a lawyer, though. I probably shouldn't, to be quite honest with you. I probably shouldn't try to sound like I know what I'm talking about as much as I do. Worldwide Web Wizard, for one, says, aren't there any laws about foreigners meddling in court cases, or do you think Rackets doesn't want to acknowledge COG? I mean, all COG did is re-upload it. He's not involved in the case. He simply provided evidence. And anybody can provide evidence. COG isn't active in the case in any way. He just so happens to be involved tangentially. Wormless Wonder, for one, says, I listened to some of the other law tubers commenting on this Rekieta news, and it was nowhere near as succinct and enlightening as yours, especially the wrinkle about releasing the footage. Well, they don't have the perspective that I do, and the laser-tight focus that I do.